1916, the summer season just kicking off. It's sweltering, it's hot. You're swimming in the ocean to cool off, and all of a sudden,
you get bitten in half by a shark.
I think everybody has a healthy fear of the ocean because of Jaws. Seeing it as a little kid, I was freaked out.
I wasn't that freaked out by Jaws.
You were freaked out.
No, I was more freaked out by Lake Placid alligators.
What?
Yeah.
But anyway, 1916 is set the stage here in New Jersey.
Is where the true events that inspired the novel that came to be Jaws as we know it happened right here.
I feel like everybody has heard part of this story about the 1916 shark attacks, and I don't think people really appreciate the magnitude it was. Really did inspire the movie and the novel and everything else. It wasn't just one attack. There was 5 attacks.
5 attacks.
The first being day 1, July 1st at Beach Haven.
Tourist town, everyone knows Long Beach Island, the Jersey Shore, everything's happening there. Yeah, that's where the first attack happened.
Yeah, just like today, a lot of people from the cities commute down to the shore for the weekend. This was no different. Charles Van Zandt was 28 years old. He was from Philadelphia, and the family took a train down there. The first night he got to the hotel, which is the Angleside Hotel, no longer exists.
Yeah.
There's just a veterans park there. There is an Angleside Hotel and Inn that does exist. It's further up, closer to the beach, but he was there, and this hotel was like massive.
It was happening.
Yeah, I wish it was still there.
Back in the day.
I really wish it was still there. But anyway, the first night he gets there, he wanted to go swimming to cool off from the hot summer heat.
Yeah, it was right before dinner. He decided to take a dip in the ocean.
Yeah, with his golden retriever.
Which, they never go after the pets.
In the movie Jaws, they did.
That's true, they did.
Pippin!
Pippin? Do you remember that scene?
Yes, I do. Pippin's dead.
Yeah, that was sad. But anyway, he was out there swimming, and see, this is the one thing I don't understand why people do, or they don't do.
What?
Like, they swim out pretty far.
Yeah, but not this guy, the second guy, but was out pretty far. But people did see him swimming and like calling and screaming. They thought he was calling for his dog. In reality, the shark was biting like his legs off.
Yeah,
and
right.
Pulling him under.
Crazy to think about. And there was lifeguards still on duty because it was around 6:40 p.m. And then when bystanders finally saw like what was happening, the shark, when the lifeguards got out there and pulled him in, one of the lifeguards, Alexander Ott, and Sheridan Taylor was the other lifeguard who swam out to him, got him in, and they said the shark was actually following back to shore.
That's pretty crazy to think. When they pulled him out, you could see his leg was stripped of all its flesh. He was still alive. And the crazy thing is they brought him to the manager's office and put him on the desk.
Yeah.
At the hotel.
And his left thigh was the one that was bitten and like stripped with all of its flesh.
And that's where he bled out and eventually died, right there on the manager's desk.
And I could only imagine like that scene, just sitting there in the hotel watching all this, to say like, all right, this is the first time of this actually happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, prior to
very
this,
publicly.
Prior to this, like people it wasn't mainstream. It wasn't, as it is even today, necessarily feared that you were going to be attacked by a shark in the ocean.
It's scary to think about. And it's sad that this hotel, which was very grand, and it no longer exists, because I really do wonder if Charles Van Zandt is still there, roaming around.
I didn't probably at the park.
Yeah, I didn't see anything at the park, but maybe.
Despite this attack, the beaches, the resorts, and everything remained open because they thought this was like a one-off incident and it wouldn't happen again.
It wouldn't happen again until day 2, July 6th.
5
of
days
1916. Yes. And further up north, it was about 45 miles up north, 72 kilometers north of Beach Haven in the town of Spring Lake. The hotel is actually still there, which is now, 55-year-old community.
Yes, the Essex Hotel.
The Essex Sussex Hotel still exists, still looks exactly the same. If you really want a representation of over 100 years ago, what it looked like, you could still go to Spring Lake and see it there.
Yeah, the second victim, he was a bell captain at the hotel.
And it was Charles Bruder. He was 27 years old.
And this one, he was swimming far offshore, 130 yards offshore.
Yeah,
that's almost like a football field and a half shore. That's
120, 120 meters offshore.
Which is crazy. Like, I don't think I would ever swim out that far.
See, that's the thing. Today, even shark attacks happen close.
My theory is you never be the furthest one out. He was probably the furthest one out.
Yeah, but then what if the shark's swimming in the middle?
Well, that's fine. You get out of the water.
Yeah, again, he was on a long shift and he decided to go for a swim. Just said, I'm going to go out there. And he was bit by the shark on his abdomen. It also severed his leg. So this guy was pretty much
Bit in half.
bit
And
in
like
half.
the water became so red that beachgoers thought a canoe tipped over, the red hole was just showing.
Yeah.
That's how red the water was. And they alerted the lifeguards.
Yeah, a woman started screaming and said, we need to go out there.
Just the amount of blood that had to be in the water. Person think that a red canoe flipped over is crazy. He didn't die instantly either.
No, because Chris Anderson and George White, who were the lifeguards on duty at the time, they took out their lifeboat and went out there. And they said when they picked him up out of the water, they thought he was going to be a lot heavier, kind of were thrown back because he was so light.
Well, yeah, because half the body's missing.
Unlike Charles Van Zandt, who actually died in the hotel, Charles Bruder was pretty much dying in the boat and he died before they even reached shore.
Yeah, he bled to death right there in the boat. I don't know, like nowadays, I wouldn't take the body out of the boat, but they did, and all the hotel guests saw the body on the beach as they brought it to shore.
Yeah, that had to be some sight. Like when you're standing there on the boardwalk looking at the hotel and looking at the water, it's kind of really surreal nowadays to look at that and say, man, this happened over 100 years ago. I couldn't imagine the scene.
I don't think if you saw that in person, you'd ever go back in the water.
I don't think I would either.
Like, I really don't.
Even the pool, I'd be nervous.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about that. They pulled half of his body out and people saw it.
Fast forward to day 3 of these attacks, and this is where it gets a little interesting, and this is where most people know the story from.
Correct.
Is July 12th, and this is further up north from where the first 2 attacks happened. And
about like 30 miles.
30 miles, 48 kilometers about.
48.
Yeah, from pretty much north of Spring Lake. In the bay. This is where it gets a little twist.
I memean, because there was a captain that saw a shark enter the Wanaque Creek. If you look at the aerial picture of the Wanaque Creek, it connects to the bay, and a captain on a ship saw over a 6-foot long shark enter the creek, but his claims and his reports were dismissed.
And this is where it really does kind of turn and you say how is this possible? And are they all connected? See, this is when you hear the story. Are these 2 attacks connected somehow? Is it the same shark?
Yeah.
Is it some rogue great white killer, or is it something totally different? Because once you get into the creek, it gets shallow.
It does.
It starts to turn into fresh water, like half salt, half fresh water. So it's one of those things can a shark survive in that? Yeah, it's in Wanaque Creek, miles away.
Yeah,
even today, it's miles away from the bay.
Yeah, but it was a lot wider and more open back then too. Just because you didn't have the construction of all the roadways and the railways back then.
Yeah, and it was Thomas Cottrell who was the ship captain who saw it. And a lot of people say he was also the town drunk. When he saw this, people claim that, it could have been a log that you were seeing. Who knows really what you did see.
It turns out he was fucking right.
Yeah, but you would think a ship captain saying, hey, I saw something.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was reports all through that month that ship captains through the port of Newark and New York were seeing shark. So that does jive with what he was saying. And if you think about it, why wouldn't you take him seriously after the first 2 attacks?
You would think so. And side note, we did catch sharks when we were younger by the Verrazano Bridge in the bay.
Yeah, we did. But they were the baby ones, but yeah.
It's true. So they're out there. They're in there.
They're out there.
Anyway, a group of friends went swimming at the Wyckoff Dock, which is no longer there. It's behind now the Public Works building in Matawan.
Yep.
And you can still see the remnants. And if you actually Google Maps the Wyckoff Dock, you could actually see where this event happened. So a group of boys, around 2 o'clock, they just got out of work. And it's kind of funny to think 11, 12-year-olds are going to work back in the day. But they were, and they, on their break, went swimming in the creek. Looking at that creek today, I don't think I would go swimming.
I'm sure it was a lot cleaner back then. They did say that they saw what looked to be a distressed log or a piece of a board, but then they saw dorsal fin of the shark.
Yeah, it peered out of the water. Everybody there was something's in the water. Maybe we should get out. And then it started swimming. They all started swimming back to the dock. Lester Stillwell, who was 11 years old at the time, didn't make it back to that dock.
No, I didn't make it. Imagine you're with a group of friends and you're the only one
who gets pulled under by a shark, but not knowing you're pulled in by a shark.
Yeah, that's true.
This is where the boys ran into town.
200, like not even 200 yards away.
Yeah, not even 200 yards away. They ran in. You know, something happened to Lester Stillwell because he was prone to have seizures, apparently. And then when the local people ended up getting there, it was a businessman, Stanley Fisher, who was 24 years old at the time. He went down and he said, Lester Stillwell probably had a seizure. In a local town, really small, everybody.
Everyone knows each other,
Yeah, so he jumps in, he gets attacked.
And he gets eaten by the shark.
Yeah, he pretty much gets bitten by the shark in front of all the townspeople.
That's a local hero right there.
It really is. Yeah, and his right thigh was severely injured, and he was like bled to death. And they put him on a train because the train's right there too. And
the train is right there.
Yeah, that's where the mural, the Jersey Maneater, is painted.
Yeah, the trestle tracks. Yep.
Yeah, which if you look again, another cool thing, if you look at Google Maps and right next to the bridge that's New Jersey Transit train now, you could see the part of the old train bridge. Another little cool side note and tie it into Jersey history. Stanley Fisher was brought to Monmouth Medical Hospital, which is in Long Branch. Mm-hmm. That's where I was born.
Oh.
Tie it all back into Jersey.
Tie it all back in.
And the sad thing about like this whole thing, when Stanley Fisher was being brought to the hospital, they could not find Lester Stillwell's body. They never recovered him. Even though they recovered Stanley Fisher's body, they never recovered Lester Stillwell's body, and no one else was going to jump in.
I mean, they did find him 2 days later. He washed up the creek shore, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, he was further up the creek of the Wyckoff dock. He was pretty much about 150 feet away. Yeah, 2 days later, on July 14th, he was recovered. It didn't end there.
It did not.
Just a few hours later, there was another victim, a fifth victim.
Yeah, he was 14 years old. Joseph Dunn was about a half a mile from where the dock is.
Yeah, and it was 30 minutes later after these attacks. You would think like the town would say, hey, something's going on here. Like, let's warn everybody. But I guess there was, people further up, and that's a pretty good distance. You're not like running up and down the creek yelling.
I mean, you think you would, but hey.
Yeah, but they didn't. And I guess the shark was on its way back out into the bay. And then he attacked Joseph Dunn, who's 14.
He said he felt like his leg go into the shark's mouth and he thought he was going to get swallowed up by the shark.
Yeah, and it was his left leg that got bitten.
And it stripped the flesh. He was miraculously pulled from the water.
Yeah, by his brother and a friend.
And he was taken to the hospital.
They had a tug of war with the shark.
They did say they had a tug of war with the shark. He was actually taken to the hospital.
St. Peter's University Hospital in New Brunswick, which is another train ride. And that's the thing that's fascinating to me about this whole thing is like the train's right there.
And you put him on the train. Get him.
You kind of have to go with the train. So whatever the next train is, wherever it's going, you hop on that train. That's why everyone went to like a different hospital.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. But he actually survived. And he was actually released like almost 2 months later, basically ripping off his leg.
Yeah, September 15th, 1916, he was released from the hospital.
Like, I wonder if he ever did interviews and like talked about like, did he ever go back in the water? Because I don't think I would.
I don't think a lot of people would, like after this whole summer of attacks. And that's where it ends here. Or does it? 2 days after all these events happened, there was a shark in the Raritan Bay, caught and killed. It was a 300-pound monster. That's what they described it as.
Yeah, 9-foot long shark.
They said, all right, we have to know. Is this the shark?
Nowadays, I think it would be kind of easy with all the forensics, the teeth analysis and everything like that. Like the technology back then probably wasn't that good.
No, but they did cut this shark open and they found 15 pounds of human remains.
I mean, just think about it. Like they did that same thing in the movie. It turned out to be, it wasn't that shark.
Could this have been just feeding on other human beings in like the Raritan Bay that were dumped there?
15 pounds is a lot though.
It is a lot. And they determined it was a bull shark because it could survive in salt water and then fresh water.
Which makes total sense because the Wanaque Creek, like we said, turns into fresh water.
The whole story is weird. It is a cool story. It's fascinating. I wish we learned about this more in school growing up as part of like New Jersey history.
That or like I wish like, you know, we always say this, but like I wish the movie was more depictive of the true events that it was based on.
If they're going to make a remake of Jaws, remake it exactly like this. But then again, would it be scary because we already know like what happened?
I know, but like it would be kind of cool. Like, I mean, you have the general parts the same.
Yeah, because I don't think most people know about these true events.
And I don't think a lot of people in New Jersey know about these events.
Other cool parts about this story is the hauntings.
The cemetery that's right in Mattawan.
The Rose Cemetery.
People believe that Lester Stillwell is seen.
Yeah, they do tours there, and people have seen shadow figures walking around at night. Voices are heard. Pretty much the same anomalies that you would hear in any paranormal case. And we know a couple people who have done investigations there and picked up some weird things.
But do you think it's just them, or do you think it's like everybody in the cemetery?
The cemetery's it's pretty unique layout. You know, it's like hilly, people are above, and when you look at Stanley Fisher and Lester Stillwell's with his family, you know, at the bottom. You know, Stanley Fisher's up top, like kind of overlooking Lester Stillwell, which is cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in a traumatic event like that, and if you just didn't die of like old age like some other people, but then again, mostly people died young. You know, and it's funny, like an old businessman. You know, Stanley Fisher, who's 24 years old.
He's an old businessman.
Yeah, but he is a true hero, and that's why I wish they really depicted a little bit more about, and they finally did put up a memorial, you know, the town itself, and you can go there and see it.
Yeah, I mean, the cemetery, I like, could be like them. I think if you go in any cemetery and like do an investigation, I think you're going to find something.
Yeah, probably.
Just because of the amount of people that are there and like how they died, maybe they don't want to go.
True. And the first hotel, the Angleside Hotel, no longer exists. It's just Veterans Memorial Park, and it's a pretty nice piece of land. And then it has like that old kind of like 70s, 80s vibe of the Angleside Inn and Hotel that's now there. You know, it's just like a regular beach hotel. It's nothing fancy, nothing special.
Sad.
So I don't know, like there hasn't been too many reports that came out of there in Beach Haven of paranormal activity.
Yeah, I mean, I think if the original hotel was still there and you still had the manager's office and the desk where he was laid on the desk and actually died, you might get something. But now that's a park, probably not.
Yeah. Essex Sussex Hotel is still there.
Yeah, I wonder if anything's inside that hotel that people report.
There has been reports.
Just because of the fact that he worked there and like close proximity to where he died.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still there, and it's really unchanged since 1916. You know, paint job, you know, a few things here and there.
Little paint job.
You know, modern amenities have been added. But when they were redoing it, apparently there was carpet installers that were there at the hotel that were redoing it. And this gentleman was like, this is so cool. Like this building, went up and searched around like cupola just to see, you know, the view that you get from there. And he said when he came back down on the 5th floor, he started seeing shadow figures running back and forth, opening up doors. And like he knew besides the caretaker that was there, just some of his workers were the only people that were in the hotel. Like it wasn't open to the public.
Yeah.
And he started seeing something run around. So he came back down to the 1st floor where they were working. And then the caretaker bumped into him and he's like, everything okay? And he's like, yeah. He's like, were you on the 5th floor? And he's like, yeah. Caretaker's like, I've seen it too.
Yeah, I mean,
it gives me the chills.
But like, is that somebody that just likes the hotel and haunts the hotel, or is it actually him?
Yeah, could it be Charles Bruder running around? I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know if he would be the spirit. Maybe he is trapped there.
Maybe he is trapped there because he worked there and he liked it. Maybe, I don't know. It is cool to think about.
Yeah, because this story, this tale has so much. It's intertwined with the little ghost stories, paranormal, but then also tragedy from these shark attacks.
Just
and
biting the shit out of people.
Like we usually give it a thumbs up, thumbs down. I guess we could say this. Was it the same shark?
I think they caught the shark, yeah, because I don't think any other shark would have 15 pounds of human flesh in it. Do I think it was the same shark that did all 3 attacks? Most likely, just because of the...
So you're giving it a thumbs up? Yeah, you're saying this is the same shark?
Just because of the track it took and the amount of days. I mean, yeah, I think most logically it probably was the same shark that did it.
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, would say they disagree just because it came up the coast and then went around the hook and then into the bay. But I would have to agree. I think it's spooky. I believe these ghost stories, and I believe it could have been the same shark. Was it?
That's anyone's guess.
Yeah, that's up for you to decide. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for tuning into today's little eerie,
spooky, little shark-bitten episode.
Yeah, of the Hometown Haunts. And make sure to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, hit that bell for notification, and follow along to all the weirdness.
Until next time.
Don't go in the water.
Stay spooky. Just imagine getting your fucking legs ripped off.
You want to do that?
Sure.
End of season Jaws. That's the best time to watch Jaws because you're not freaked out to go in the water.
I'm always freaked out to go in the water.
Yeah, but now you're not freaked out.
You remember swimming in the pool at home during nighttime. We had the light. I always thought something was going to be in the pool and attack me.
Use that one.
Got it.